Mark Zuckerberg's in a fight with his partner? Let's find out. Mark Zuckerberg's partner and Meta COO, Sheryl Sandberg, stepped down after 14 years. For today's video, we're going to be discussing this topic along with who we might think might be the potential successor. Without further ado, let's dive right in. Mr. Zuckerberg, Meta's chief executive, has reorganized his company so that no longer has to be a top deputy. Sheryl Sandberg, Meta's chief operating officer for the past 14 years, said she would be leaving the company this fall. For more than a decade, Mark Zuckerberg and Sheryl Sandberg began and ended each week by meeting together. The representation of the ritual was clear. It was intended to signal that they were in lockstep with each other at the company. But when Ms. Sandberg, 52, recently said she would be stepping down from Meta this fall, she sugarcoated an unsaid change at the tech giant. Mr. Zuckerberg no longer has any clear number two. While Mr. Zuckerberg titled Javier Olivan, a longtime executive, to take over her job when she departs, the importance of the chief operating officer role has lessened at Meta, which was formerly known as Facebook. Mr. Zuckerberg, 38, instead has four executives who equally have big responsibilities and who answer to and run major decisions for him. Mr. Zuckerberg has made the mechanical shift because he wanted to combine his control over all arms of the company. Three people close to him said. While Mr. Zuckerberg has always been the acknowledged boss, with the majority of companies voting shares, he shared power with Ms. Sandberg when he was a younger businessman and needed help expanding the company. But more than 18 years of experience under his belt, he wants to exercise all of his power and be recognized more clearly as Meta's sole leader, the people said. Ms. Sandberg has a complicated legacy. She transformed digital advertising and was a voice on big issues, such as the role of women in the workplace, but she also denied company problems and ricocheted blame. For many women, the executive's best-selling book was a roadmap to corporate life. Over time, some have turned to its message. Ms. Sandberg is leaving at a time when Mr. Zuckerberg had begun a violent effort to take Facebook into a new direction, the metaverse. For years, Mr. Zuckerberg and Ms. Sandberg had straightforward responsibilities, which employees often referred to as the Sandberg side and the Mark side. Ms. Sandberg ran the business, policy, and legal teams with a lot of independence, while Mr. Zuckerberg was responsible for the engineering and product teams. However, that began to change in 2020 after Facebook dealt with scandals including privacy, misinformation, and other toxic content on the platform. Zuckerberg told his team that he was done with apologizing and wanted to focus more time and attention on groundbreaking products that the company was designing. Since then, Mr. Zuckerberg has presumed more control over the public messaging and policy decisions, which were formerly handled by Sandberg. He also brought in hires with public policy expertise and promoted longtime executives who were loyal to his vision. The four top executives were Andrew Bosworth, the Chief Technology Officer, Nick Clegg, the President of Global Affairs, Chris Cox, the Chief Product Officer, and Ms. Olivan, who was the head of growth. Mr. Zuckerberg said in a Facebook message about Ms. Sandberg's departure. Each of the four men has key responsibilities. Clegg is the public face and ambassador. Bosworth is pushing the company into an immersive world of so-called metaverse. Mr. Cox oversees Meta's family of apps, Instagram, WhatsApp, Messenger, and Facebook, and Olivan will be in charge of analytics, infrastructure, and growth. But none of them have had much power as Ms. Sandberg used when she efficiently ran all the business operations while Mr. Zuckerberg focused on developing Facebook's products. Mr. Zuckerberg indicated the power shift recently in his Facebook post. He said he didn't really, quote, plan to replace Sheryl's role in our existing structure, end quote, adding that Meta, quote, has reached the point where it makes sense for our product and business groups to be more closely integrated rather than having all the business and operations functions organized separately from our products, end quote. Anyway, this wraps up our video for today. What did you think about it? Let us know in our comments below what you thought about the big change in Meta. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel to get notified about our latest videos. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time. Have a good one.